Hello and welcome to the Luscious Living Podcast. I'm your host, Celine Bilgin, holistic nutrition consultant and the founder of Luscious Living, where personal growth meets wellness. Ladies, we've heard that PMS is a feminine curse, and it's time to bust that myth. Did you know that your period is actually a sacred and beautiful time for you? It doesn't feel like that when you have symptoms of cramps, bloating, nausea, headaches, and more. And I'm here to tell you it does not have to be that way. Did you know that you can use nutrition to ease those symptoms? Did you know that you have 4 different phases of your menstrual cycle? Yes, you can learn to optimize each of these phases and really understand your body and understand why you're more motivated in some times of the month and more excited to work out or more wanting to stay in, or you are just more intuitive in certain phases as well. Learn to understand your body, love yourself even more. This is all talked about in my best-selling book, The Painless Period Guide. Grab a copy for you and a friend. The link to purchase is in the description. Welcome everyone to the Luscious Living Podcast. I am so excited to have Veronica Stone with me today. We have met 2019, I would say, right, Veronica?
Yeah, at a Wine Women Wellbeing event.
That's right. Thank goodness for those Wine Women Wellbeing events. But we met and have been connected ever since. And I reached out to Veronica to have her on my podcast. She is a professional interior designer or organizer, a decorator, Feng Shui consultant, and every interaction I've had with her has been so incredible and pleasant. And, just going through her Instagram, she has incredible transformations in the homes, but the lives of families. And so I really was so thrilled that when she said yes to being a guest on the show. So I want to warmly welcome you, Veronica.
Well, thank you, Celine. This is very exciting for me. It's my first podcast. Though I have done presentations before, and I love sharing ways that people can tweak their home to support their well-being. It really is connected.
It really is. Actually, when I do corporate wellness, there are actually studies that show that that organization does impact the brain's focus. And so we're going to be touching more on, beauty and energy and all the wisdom that you have to share with that. But I'd really love to know, how did you get started in this? Is this something you wanted to do when you were a little girl? Did you stumble upon it? Can you share us more about your story?
I would love to. So it starts back in high school. I actually was approached by my mom's friend to be trained to be her house cleaner. And at the time I was working at like Winners or Walmart. And this was just such an amazing opportunity. So I started working for her in her house, and then my company grew and I ran an interior cleaning home. Oops, I'm going to restart that. But anyway, so I ran this cleaning business since high school for a decade. And through that, I started organizing people's pantries and fridges and closets. And every time I'd clean, I'd make sure all the pillows are fluffed and the blankets and the bedding are just right. And I'd style the bookshelves and make sure all the soap bottles are like angled the right way. And so I really enjoyed styling. And then it led to decorating for the holidays. And, during high school, I wanted to get into interior design though I took the practical route and I got a business degree. But then afterwards, completing that, I started taking decorating classes because it was still my passion. And then, I'm in my 20s, married, decided to have kids, and it doesn't really work to run a business. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. So I sold that company and moved out to Airdrie, bought a house, and began to support my husband. And we built him a home inspection business. And so for 5 years, that's what we were doing. I was still surrounded with homes. I've always been like super passionate about homes. But this sort of became like the health and the well-being of homes, making sure they're well maintained and like checking out all the systems. But so part of that reason I bring that up was it led to this really low point in my life. All of a sudden in 2019, my husband was no longer happy in our marriage. We became like business partners, co-parents, and like really our passion just wasn't there. So all of a sudden, within 2 months, he moved out. I lost my career, I lost my best friend, and the opportunity to stay home with my children. So it was just like a really low point for me. Yeah. And without, the inspection business, it was time to restart a career. So I kind of, after lots of counseling and all the things, I was excited to finally build the decorating, organizing business that I always wanted to do. So that's where Happy Place Spaces started. Because, yeah.
Please, yes, go. I feel like there's more to that.
Yeah, because, I found myself working through the trauma through decluttering my house, replacing the family photos with ones of just me and my children, and being able to repaint and change things up to reclaim my space and to have it align with my future vision for my life. For example, like I built a yoga space in my basement, and now I'm a yoga teacher as well on the side. And then I built my office and I put my logo up there on the wall. And that was when I was just starting out. Now 3 years in, my life has changed. And I feel like through changing the spaces, it has altered my life and helped me like just feel so much better through transitioning from a divorcee to now being an empowered woman.
Wow. Wow. Okay. I am so inspired. I appreciate your authenticity and also this journey of putting the pieces back together and creating something even more beautiful and more that's you, it sounds like, and something, I noted is, you created the vision of who you want to be. So there was yoga, and then you became a yoga instructor, and then your business, and like the logo is a reflection of this reminder of where you're going. And I'm so inspired even from this like 5 minutes in.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I mean, I definitely got a little carried away a bit, but through transforming my house, I just really wanted to support others through transitions that they were going through in their life. So whether that was a blended family, a divorce, or a new baby, or just someone like taking a new approach on life, like wanting to get healthier, or like so many different transitions, moving into a new home. And I find that really exciting. And I think it's a really great time to make your house reflect the new changes that you're having in your life, and using the power of Feng Shui to support your personal goals with your home. It's pretty cool.
Wow. Okay. So on that note, say someone is going through a major transition. Maybe it's a job loss. Maybe it's, they're experiencing, the holidays coming up and someone passed away and it's not going to be the same without them. I know there are two completely different shifts, but is there something practical that anyone could take at any point when they're in transition in their life to really start to build the next steps into their happy space?
Yeah, I would say like every transition starts with figuring out your why and your intentions. So taking time to tune into what is it that you want your life to look like? What do you want to change? What do you want to keep the same? And then you can write that down. I like to have, when I work with clients, we actually write their vision down and post it onto the wall so that we use that as a reminder for why we're putting in the hard work. And when we're making decisions, we come back to that vision and make sure that it's in alignment with where we want to go. So with that, perhaps there's certain things you're going to let go of. Like decluttering is another way, but making sure that what's in your space actually aligns with where you're going and where you want to be. That would be huge.
I love that. So it's just looking at, okay, who am I becoming? What's the kind of lifestyle I want to live, and really being able to, sort out what belongs in that vision from there. Is that right?
Yeah, totally. Like that's always the first step. Figure out the why, let go. And then honestly, maybe it comes from being a cleaner for 10 years, but then cleaning is a really great way to work out emotions and stress.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually improves the energy in your home. And then I feel like you can reward yourself by letting in some new stuff. So then you would get to maybe pick out a new canvas or wall art or new bedding or anything that brings you joy and that aligns with your next chapter of life.
You know, it's funny because I was working with a client this past year and she was wanting to, of course, with what I do, really kickstart her health and her hormone balance. And one of the big things I started to notice too is that there's things in her kitchen. I didn't go to her kitchen physically. She lives in the UK. But there was, like a stove was not like her, like half the items in her kitchen were not working, right? And so to me, that really represented nourishment in the kitchen. And so I just think that's really, really interesting what you're saying. And I just want to come back to decluttering and cleansing. So, of course, as humans, we are sentimental and emotional creatures by nature. And when we have, whether it's clothing, we're, going into the next year, and this is obviously applicable at any point, but you really want to start to cleanse and declutter. And I've even found myself, with certain clothes, like, oh, I might wear that again at some point, or that occasion might happen, or you have, some sentimental artwork or whatever it is. How do you define the difference between, something that can just be let go and move on versus something to keep versus, and then if you keep it, how do you recommend storing it? So it's kind of a multi-part question for you.
Sure. So I would again always start with tuning into your why. So this is the driving force that will fuel you to make decisions. It's what you kind of will make decisions against. So looking at, especially when it comes to clothing, what do you want to look like? What is the kind of style you want to have? And then you continue to come back to see, does this align? And sure, you might have a piece of clothing that you're like, yeah, I might wear this. But really, if there's an occasion, wouldn't you want to wear something that you feel super fierce in instead?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. If it's not something you absolutely love, I recommend letting go of these things. And, just like Mary Kondo says, picking up an object and closing your eyes and feeling it and really tuning into what your body is telling you, that is a really great way to make a decision. So does it align with your best self? Does it kind of bring up tension or sore tummy ache in your body? I actually just did this with some paperwork in my office. It was a presentation. I'm like, oh, I might want those notes from that presentation just for a future project, and then I can re-look back at it. So I've left it there for a couple months in my pile, and then I held it today. I'm like, but I noticed that I'm feeling like tension in my chest or like anxiety when I pick up this paperwork. So I actually just recycled it. So that's kind of an example of how I would make decisions.
Wow, this is like the holistic nutrition of, of designing and decorating. It's like really, I love your approach of this. This really feminine based approach using intuition, using the body to really make those decisions as well as that vision. So that's so beautiful. And when you have some of those sentimental items, or say again, notes from a workshop that you do want to keep, how do you recommend storing these so they're not an eyesore, they're not cluttered? What do you recommend there?
So when it comes to sentimental items, often I will have these bins. For example, my kids each have a school bin and they also have a baby bin. So I will store items in that. I also have like a childhood education bin as well. And every once in a while, when I'm feeling into it, I continue to declutter and downsize it. But I find that when we have a confined space, like this is how much photos that I'm allowed to have because that's what fits in this photo box, or this is how many art projects I can have because it's what fits in this filing container. That helps to kind of know where to look for something, know where to keep it. You are taking good care of it because it's protected in a nice case, and then it's out of sight, out of mind. So it's not always weighing on your shoulders.
Oh,
So
that's so good. So good. I love it. Okay. So then moving on to a little bit of feng shui, can you explain to us? So it's weird when I like often I will shift plants or artwork or furniture around the house and I feel a different sense of energy. It's hard to explain, but I think so many of us, especially listening to this podcast, do understand what is meant by that. But can you explain it in your words or feng shui words of what that energy shift is and how can we evoke more of this shift of energy through our decor and organizing?
Mm-hmm. So feng shui really comes into the balancing of the energy flow within spaces. And every object contains energy, just like every thought contains energy. So when there's certain objects in the home, it can either bring in joy or it can bring in a low frequency that it's vibrating at. And for example, like dirt always has a low frequency. So that's why I always recommend cleaning just to brighten up spaces.
Mm.
So when we shift things around, often the positioning actually really matters in feng shui. For example, energy flow typically moves like air in a circle. And so the corners of rooms are being missed. That circular flow kind of gets missed in the corners. So that's often where you'll see dog hair and dust pile up is in the bottom corners of spaces. So the way that we look to re-energize that energy that typically is stagnant in corners is through adding in a lamp or a plant to help energize that space. And it's really funny because feng shui principles really are in alignment with standard design principles. It's now understanding the reason why we do this. That's what feng shui gives. And then, I guess within that, I'd like to just share too that the content or the vibe that an object has. For example, if you have a piece of art that, I don't know, has a skeleton on it or a moody ocean picture, that's immediately going to bring in a little bit of low energy. So we really want to be mindful. There's even like signs that people carry on their shirts or on their walls, like, I don't know, chaos and coffee or something like that. So it's almost like sending out that vibe that you're going to be stressed out and like going for these vices instead of coming from a balanced place. So I really recommend paying attention to the content of the items in your home. So what else am I missing with that question?
No, I know I need to work on asking one question at a time. Any of my clients listening to this, and they'll know I'll ask like 4 questions in one go. It's funny, actually, I'm looking around at my living room and I either have a plant or a lamp in the corner and I did not know that.
I love crazy. That.
That's so funny that, that's so beautiful. And so in that way, so if someone is short on time, they're a busy mama and they're like, okay, I need to really energize this space. Let's say it's their bedroom. Their bedroom's kind of feeling a bit blah or messy or whatever it is. What are maybe 2 to 3 tips you would have to re-energize the bedroom?
Okay, well, I'm actually going to switch it and just re-energize any space because the bedroom I would love to dive into. It's a little bit more specific further on. But I would suggest just start by moving around 3 items in a room using the knowledge that you received today. So perhaps that's removing an unloved item that you keep meaning to get rid of, or perhaps it's emptying out your trash bin, or cleaning or dusting a space, or shifting a plant in a lamp into a corner. Those are really quick things. Just by moving around 3 items, you can actually re-energize a space. Furthermore, a really great way, an easy way, is to bring in some light. So turning on some lamps or opening up your blinds and curtains, that is going to infuse your space with some better energy. And also you can use sound and smell. So put on some awesome upbeat music or calming music if that's the vibe that you want to bring in. And use candles or essential oil diffusers. That honestly does raise the vibes in spaces as well. And that's a really easy way. Another wonderful tip I just wanted to share with your listeners is to create a purge pile. which is like a bag or a bin that has a designated spot in your home. Often it might be in the garage or in your closet. And then anytime you're just going about life and you see something you no longer want, just put it in that bin. And then once it fills up, take it out to donation, or you can consider selling it or giving it away. That just kind of makes it nice and simple.
Oh, that's so good. Thank you. These are such practical, actionable, beautiful steps that you're providing in that way. And so so let's talk about the bedroom. I'd love to know, let's actually start off with almost the opposite way. What would you recommend that listeners not have in their bedroom, and why?
Okay. Well, anything that doesn't align with relaxation and rejuvenation, I want you to remove from your bedroom. So this could be exercise gear. That could be a personal preference. If that's really your space where you exercise, then okay, I'll give you a free pass for that one.
Yeah.
But otherwise, like work items, paperwork, receipts, kids' toys, extra electronics, or just clutter, remove that out of your bedroom. That is your oasis. And if there's any space in the home that you're going to focus on, let it be your bedroom, because it's where you go to rejuvenate at the end of the day, and it will give you more energy to work through the other areas of your home over time. So that's what I would say not have. Another thing in the bedroom you should look to avoid is having a mirror that reflects your image while you're in bed.
I've heard that. Yes, I've read that.
Yeah. And so you may not know why, but let me share the feng shui reason why is they see mirrors as amplifying energy. And when you're in your bedroom, often you're tired, you're exhausted, you might be stressed out as you're thinking about things before bed, and it's going to amplify that. You might even be in your bed when you're feeling ill and sick, and it's going to amplify that. So you can have mirrors in your bedroom, just don't have them reflect yourself while you're in your bed, and seek to have them actually reflect something like a plant or a beautiful piece of art or sunlight or something beautiful, because it's going to amplify that.
Wow. Yeah, that's so interesting. We just got a beautiful mirror in the bedroom, but I was so adamant that it would not face our bed. That's so funny. And in the opposite way now, what are a few things that you would recommend in a bedroom, whether it's to evoke rest or love or pleasure? What would you suggest there?
Well, I would definitely suggest creating an environment that has a dominant yin energy, which yin is dark, night, feminine, soft. So that's kind of the energy that we want in a bedroom, because it's where we go to sleep. So with that, you can bring in cozy colors, very muted colors rather than bright and bold colors. So maybe some greens or some calming blues, or maybe some toned down purples, which is really great for inside a bedroom. Also, I would recommend your bed position to be in the command position. You've probably heard about that. There's a very strong power between where your bed is placed in your bedroom and your personal power. So you want to make sure that your bed is kind of diagonal from the entrance to the bedroom. And it's also on a solid wall. We want to avoid putting it on a wall with windows, or even with a wall with other doors. And we want to avoid having it on a wall that has plumbing behind it as well. Because Feng Shui sees water draining away from the house to be taking away energy and prosperity. So we never want to have plumbing take away your energy and power. So we want to make sure that you're in this really power position. So if anyone, like intruders, are going to walk into your house, this is why it's an ancient practice, but you want to know what's coming at you. If you have a window above you, you can't see what's happening behind you, and it puts you in a little bit of anxiety rather than in a power position. So that is key. And if you want to welcome in a wonderful love life, it's really important you make space for your partner. So it's best to have your bed in the center of a wall with matching nightstands and lamps. Often I work with singles, and it just honestly blows me away. It's so amusing. It goes with the saying, a one night stand. So often single
Huh.
people have their bed against the wall with one night stand, and they're literally not making space for a future partner.
Wow.
It it's true. Like I always see it. And so it's like number one, make sure you make space by pulling out your bed. And I know often people, you'll end up by having your bed in the center of the room. You're not going to have as much space and walkway, but your bed is to go to relax. You don't need to be doing cartwheels in the floors on the floor. So definitely center your bed, lamps on either side. Layering light is so important. Yeah, I could go on forever about bedrooms, bring in plants, and they're just a really powerful space to change your well-being.
Wow. Thank you for that. So powerful. And in that same vein with inviting energy, I know that in Feng Shui, there are certain placements or objects to also invite in abundance and career success. Are there any tips that you have around that as well?
Yeah, so when it comes to abundance, I would start first at your front door. Ensure that it's not cluttered or blocked because your front door is where all the good energy comes into your home. So if immediately you can't even open up your door because you have shoes behind it, you're blocking that good energy flow. So I recommend tidying up that front space, whether it's using shoe racks or just storing some of that stuff in different places. You can definitely have like shoes and coats in there, but as long as it's stored tidy and you have a nice open, uncluttered walkway, that's huge. You know, have a nice attractive mat. It's really beautiful to bring in a console table with a mirror and a lamp and a plant. Like, boom, that's amazing. Like almost every time I'll be like, yeah, bring in a lamp and a plant. Like that's really good cure all for a lot of things. And but just making sure that the mirror isn't facing the front door because it's going to shoot that energy back out. And that is the same for any space in the home. Like wherever the mirror is facing the door, it's expelling energy. So for abundance, even further, I'm going to try to simplify it, but there's this roadmap called the Bagua map that we use in Feng Shui. Yeah. So it's like a 3x3 grid of equal sections. And so there's 9 energy centers within the Bagua map, which can be applied to your main floor plan. It can be applied into a single room or even your desk. And you can layer it. You continue to layer it to strengthen the good energy in your home. So with the Bagua map, there is a center for wealth and abundance. And that is your back left corner. So 1/3 width, 1/3 length. And with that, each of the centers of the Bagua map have primary elements, colors, shapes to enhance that energy. So right there in the back left corner, the element is wood. The color is purple, but also green because that goes with wood, and gold because gold and red are also seen to be prosperous colors with Feng Shui. So you can kind of infuse those colors in there. Bring in wood elements, so such as like wood furniture or wood frames on artwork. Also pictures of wood. So in my corner, and it was amazing when I redid the center of my home, I hung a piece of art that has multiple trees. It's like a forest. So that's like a wood element. And the content of that picture is representing abundance because there's so many of them. And then I added a plant and I decluttered and opened up the space to make sure there was enough airflow of good energy. And then all of a sudden I was like getting all these calls for new projects. It was like almost overwhelming.
Wow.
I was like, oh my gosh. So that's a really great place to clean, declutter is the back left corner of your home for abundance. And yeah.
Oh, sorry. Please go ahead.
And I just wanted to say, like, I have a Bagua map in a short article on that on my website. So if you have show notes, we can put that in there. So it's a lot to explain and to dive into, but a visual helps.
A whole world. I thought I knew a bit about Feng Shui and I'm learning so much from you. And it's funny because I find decorating to be so challenging. My house is covered in plants and some artwork and like little like lamps and salt lamps and things like that. But
Nice.
it's really because I don't know how to decorate. So I just have plants everywhere as decoration. And on that note, how would you, if someone's, looking at styling a nursery or a shelf or something, obviously they're two very different, but what would you say, are three tips if someone's roaming through HomeSense or Pinterest, for example, and they're looking at decorating an area of their
Mhm.
home? What process could they go through before giving you a call? Of course, is just looking at, okay, well, how can I make this better? I know it needs to look better. I don't really know what to do. What would you and after they go through the why and really understanding that,
Mhm.
what would you suggest to guests?
Excellent. So if you're about to approach decorating an area, I would say come up with a color scheme. Probably a maximum of three colors. One's going to be your dominant, and then a secondary, and then a third one that's, about say 60% the first color, 30% the second, and 10% the last one. Um, and ensure like they go well together. And I also really encourage people to try to create flow within all the spaces of their home, to try to use the same type of styles for the most part and similar colors, just because that just looks really nice. And then so when you're shopping, you keep these colors in mind. Floor plan is huge. But then if you can create little areas that are called a vignette. So it's almost like a combination of a few things. So such as, a nightstand plus a lamp and a plant, and then maybe a candle. Those all combining together is where you can create like a really beautiful impact in a space. And so when you're out at HomeSense, I would just choose those items together. And you wouldn't want like a gold mirror, a gold candlestick, and I don't know, a gold vase. You want to make sure you're playing with colors and textures and materials so that you're getting like three different beautiful elements together. For example, if you're doing a 3-piece vignette. Um, and with Feng Shui, bringing that back in, we really seek to use all 5 elements within a home. So there's fire, wood, metal, water, and earth. So maybe you have like a wood picture frame, and then you have a metal mirror, but then you have a ceramic pot with your plant. That's a really great way to just bring in a variety of textures and balancing out the energy.
Wow. And on that note, what do you suggest for water? Because I find the other ones are a bit, even fire, you can bright light a candle, but what would you suggest for water, the water element?
Yeah. So water can be anything, the content wise is showing water. So like a picture of a lake, for example,
Oh.
or you can bring in a water fountain. That's a really, really great source of abundance as well, because water is prosperity. So if you have a bubbling water fountain, that's excellent. You could bring in a diffuser because that has some water inside. Also, the color blue represents water, and then glass. So glass objects are the water element.
Wow. Wow, I'm so inspired. I want to like go and observe my all the different rooms and see if I have the elements. Actually, is that what you suggest, is making sure every room has and the element? I know in feng shui too, there's different placements for those things, but in general, do you recommend listeners to have an element in each room?
Yeah, definitely. The Bago map will come back into play in this because of each of the 9 centers, there is one element in each center that actually destructs the energy, which you'll see in the Bagua map on my website. So in that center, don't use that element or have very little of it if possible. But other than that, yes, balancing and using all 3, that's a really great way. Because have you ever been to like a cabin and it has like wood floors, wood ceilings, wood furniture, and like wall hangings of like bears carved out? It's like so much wood. The energy from that doesn't make you feel very balanced. Sure, it feels cozy, but you need to have the other ones to balance out the energy, to be functional and successful in life. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. I love this. Wow. Okay. So obviously there's so many layers to this, and the more you learn. At least the more I'm learning, the more I'm wanting to learn more. And so what kinds of services do you offer to your clients and those listening? What does that look like to work with you?
Well, I'm actually a little bit unique in the industry because instead of just being an organizer or a decorator, I also infuse feng shui into what I do, as long as my clients are in alignment with that. So often I start with a happy hour consult, and I meet in the home. We tour your home. I hear about your vision, your challenges, and I learn about your preferences. But then also immediately, I will share advice on what I see is feeling off in the space. Like I just have like this, I'll have this sense of energy, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
just feel where I'm like, ooh, this needs to get shifted. And from there, I write up a recommendation report for each room. And it's a combination of decorating. Oh, you should bring in a lamp here, or here's a great place for a console table, or let's shift your layout this way to make sure the traffic flow is better. And I learn about what activities you want to do in your home. And so sometimes we change the use of a room completely, and we move spaces around just to match the family. So I start there. And even during the happy hour consult, sometimes if there's time, we'll move stuff around immediately. I'll restyle a space, or organize a space real quick, or hang wall art. I just want to make an impact and a positive change right there during the happy hour. And it's actually usually closer to 90 minutes or 2 hours for that first appointment. And then from there, you can take that report and you can implement some of the changes yourself, or you can hire our team to do everything from decluttering support, organizing, and decorating. So that's kind of what I offer.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And so who are these sessions for? Because if someone's thinking, wow, this sounds amazing, and I'll get to it, or I'll do it on my own, what's the difference of hiring you and your team versus just kind of like, yeah, that sounds nice, and then, kind of moving on with it? Who is it for?
Well, I really feel it can be for many people, but I love it if you are just in this place and you're just feeling, my home feels off and I'm not sure, or I am sure what it is, but I just need some help doing it. Because I find that really stops us as women, because we do everything ourselves. And often maybe our partner doesn't care as much about the home as we do. And so having somebody that's like a best friend come in and work on your home with you and talk about ideas and get inspired and create a vision for your space can just be really uplifting, I would say. So sometimes people, it's a pretty small investment to bring me in for a couple hours, and then it's like, boom, big impacts. Or I've also worked with people who are going to be doing like some renovations, and they just want to make sure that they're going about it a good way. And so I have designers on my team as well. So we can do everything from picking out flooring to paint colors and all the things, as well as furniture and even organizing. Yeah. Anyways, It's pretty cool.
Very
I'm like,
cool.
I call myself a happy place creator. It's really, I just think our homes are so powerful, and like in bringing joy to our home, and like relieving stress and all the things.
Absolutely. It's a place where we feel grounded and safe from the world, like not from the world, but it's our safe space as well. It's a place of beauty, and where we eat, where we sleep, where we think, where we entertain ourselves or others. I think it's so important. And, on the note of even whether it's fashion styling or again, hormone health, it's decorating, there is, accounting experts that can really be transformative. And you are such a wealth of information, Veronica. How can people get in touch with you, learn more about consults, follow you on social media?
Awesome. Well, my company name is Happy Place Spaces. So my website is happyspaces.com, and it's a tongue twister. So it's like happy place and then SPACES. And as well on Instagram at Happy Place Spaces. And those are probably the best ways because then for my website and Instagram, I have all my contact info there if you wanted to ask any questions, or you can directly book online as well through both those spots.
I love it. We will be
Yeah.
sure to add that blog post that you mentioned, add your social media and your website to the show notes so that people can get in touch with you and be inspired by your before and after transformations. Is there anything else that you would love for listeners to know about their space, about you, about your work, anything like that?
I guess one of the things I wanted to talk about, because I know a lot of times you're working with people with nutrition. And so I wanted to talk about a healthy kitchen.
Mm,
And
thank
we
you.
really, in Feng Shui, we really put a lot of emphasis on the stove and a little bit in the kitchen because this is where we go to prepare our food to nourish our family. So many cultures have used food as an indicator of wealth and generosity, and the energy and love poured into our food sustains us and heals us. So with that, it's really important to have a clean stove. And you mentioned you worked with somebody before who had some things broken.
That's right. The stove is broken.
Yeah, that's huge. To ensure that your all four burners are working. If not, it is recommended to replace your stove. That is also the source of prosperity as well and abundance because it is connected with wealth, right? Like if you have a wealth of food and you can nourish yourself, it allows you to bring in more income and stuff. So clean your stove. And in general, just fix anything broken or let it go because broken items do bring in low energy, just to add that in there. But and we want to create a space in your kitchen that is bright, clean, and cheery to influence the energy of the food as you prepare and eat it. So ensure you get some light in there. I honestly am blown away. I brought a table lamp in the corner of my kitchen, and I'm just like, I love it to death. It's incredible.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. And this, I find like color lighting too, that blue light really, really bothers me. And I see it so often in homes where I like more of that warm light as well in the kitchen. And it's funny, even this past few years, I've started to beautify my kitchen with, a pretty apron and a matching oven mitt. And I think all these things make a huge difference that before I didn't even think about, or I was like, that's a woo woo, but it does make a difference. It's very experiential.
It is super fun having, the right towel hanging on your hooks and stuff. That's fun colors. And then another thing to do is also to, of course, add plants, maybe one on top of the fridge or in the corners. And then declutter. The kitchen has so many things in it, from like old expired food to food that we don't even like, and to so many kitchen gadgets that we aren't using. And when you can create like more simplicity in there, you're probably going to make yourself better meals. There's studies that show an organized pantry lead to healthier eating. So that's a really great place to start. It'll make meal planning a little bit easier when you have different zones and sections for the different types of foods. So when you're like, okay, I need a protein, I need a vegetable, and I need a side dish, and you know exactly where to go and to find it. And when you're running out of something, it's a lot easier. So organization in the kitchen is really key to having a healthy kitchen as well. But anyways, that's kind of what I wanted to add.
Oh, good. Oh my gosh. I should, if you have any pantry makeovers, I would love to link that also in the show notes. And I wish I could show you a picture of my kitchen. I have literally two plants on the corners.
Nice.
That's so funny. It's so true though, Veronica. The tips that you provided are so practical. And I always say that a beautiful space or different, like whether it's flowers or beautiful mug, it's relaxing. Beauty is relaxing to a woman, and a relaxed woman is a healthy woman. So, you've really, thank you so much for all of this wisdom that you've shared. And I know there's so much more. And guests can listen to the podcast, take notes, take action, and also follow you to really stay on the journey. And I just really want to thank you so much for your time and sharing all of this wisdom with us today.
It was my pleasure. I can tell you're very in line with this type of stuff. So it just makes me light up. And it's really fun to work on making little tweaks to just improve our lives. And that's what I'm all about. So thank you so much for this opportunity to come on and share.
Thank you. And thanks for listening, everyone. See you next week.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Please give the show a 5-star review if you feel like you learned something new today. All of the mentioned links will be in the show notes. And also, are we connected on Instagram? Find me over at _lusciousliving_ and come say hi. See you next episode.